That video actually says a lot of what I would have wanted to say, and it's in fact something that the Center of Concern is experimenting with. If it works, they're going to fire me and just send the video next conferences. But I wanted to comment on a few things that I think I have 5 clusters of remarks to make, if the time will allow me, on things that I think are important in order to unleash what I call the potential, the power of human rights standards to demand tax justice. And the first one of them is, I think we need to bear in mind, and this is something that not always human rights defenders are willing to do, because typically, as a human rights defender, you believe human rights are the ultimate end for anything. So you don't want human rights instrumentalized for anything. We complain when the World Bank, for example, tells us human rights are good because they lead to economic growth. So that we should be saying that we say, no, it's not the right argument to make. Human rights we should be pursuing them in and of themselves, not because of an economic argument. But I think in reality, it's important, and it may actually be counterproductive if we don't think of human rights as instrumentalized to a goal, which I would loosely define as social justice in this case. The Center of Concern is an organization with a Catholic background, so in our case, that theoretical or sort of that background that we have behind when we go into human rights is the Catholic social teaching. So some of the things that are very, very deeply ingrained in us, even when we talk about things like the right to property, for example, well, in Catholic social teaching, you know that property has a social function. You don't think about property as an individual right. It's something that has to be exercised in the interest of society. If you think about profit, for example, profit is as a part of that property, for example, it's something that, yes, it is okay, but you have to evaluate also the means by which the profit has been made. You have to evaluate the end, you have to link to the common good. So there are a number of things that Catholic social teaching will provide as a background, and you may come from a number of different theoretical perspectives on human rights, and I had the privilege of working with a very well-known gender advocate at the Center of Concern for many years, day in, day out. And one of the first contacts I had with her, and I was very young, a human rights lawyer who was very enthusiastic, and I thought human rights were the solution to everything. And after talking with her, she said to me, yes, you know, your plan is good, but you have to bring gender in. And I thought, what do you mean bring gender in? This is human rights, gender are in, grounds of discrimination by sex. And it took me several years to understand that, and a lot of work together with feminist advocates, to understand that you can also deconstruct human rights themselves from a gender perspective, and that from a gender perspective, you could perceive how human rights could be used in a way that are detrimental to gender if you are not careful. So I say this as a sort of a guideline or caution that I think we need to have. We may approach human rights sometimes in a way that's perhaps too formal, and if we don't forget that we are actually doing this to pursue ultimate ends of social justice, from whichever part of the social justice community you come, we may be making a big disservice to what we think we are trying to do, or the communities we think we are trying to serve. Second thing is, I think it's important to tap into the fact that, and this is a premise for us, people are intrinsically good. Human beings, I do not think that there is anybody who feels comfortable. Yeah, there are a few greedy ones and evil ones out there, but generally, most people don't feel good when they know that there are people dying of preventable diseases with no access to a decent latrine, fighting wars. Generally, that is not something that people feel good about. And I think we have to tap into that feeling. Sometimes we forget, we tend to assume that people are not this intrinsically good, and they are, and I think it's so true it is. I remember this when Professor Himmelfarb was speaking in the round table the first day, and he spoke about these magic hats. Some of you may remember. He said, the argument of those who call for tax cuts, they cannot go and tell people, actually, what we are proposing is that you support a policy that's going to bring a lot of people, make a lot more people homeless, leave them out of health services. They cannot say that because most people would not stand for that. So, he said, they use these magic cuts, right? They say, oh, tax cuts, but they are going to create so much growth that they will pay for themselves, right? You need some way to help people rationalize what the policies that they are supporting will do. And I think that's something that we need to use. We need to bring the connection with human rights and make the link with tax policies in a way that are actually going to help people understand the true impacts of the policies they stand for. And I think that is can be a very valuable argument, especially for tax justice, also for other aspects of financial regulation. So our bet is people are intrinsically good. Third, human rights are a tool we should not forget. It's not just something to be used in the legal, in the courtroom. Somebody was mentioning yesterday the principle of separate entities principle. Well, that is ingrained in laws. Human rights are also a tool to examine the laws and legislation. And I bet a lot more on human rights as a tool to revise legislation than necessarily what can be done inside of the courtroom with the laws that already exist. So we cannot forget human rights are a standpoint from where to judge the existing legislation, the whole of the legal system. The fourth thing I wanted to say, it's important to unleash the potential to actually think about human rights as a tool for unleashing the creativity of activists, of communities around human rights. Yesterday, Shirley was saying we need to not just develop standards, but also bring them to countries, to specific cases where people use those standards. And I cannot agree more with that. And in fact, when I was saying at some point how a lot of our energy has gone in the last year into creating, generating new standards that address more of the financial policy from a human rights perspective, we should not forget, and we never thought about that as the end game. The end game for us is not to just create the standards, or it is up there, up in the UN in some mechanism. It's actually so the standards then can be used by people and can be used by people in two ways. They are not just the grounds for people to be able to demand tax justice, to use human rights standards in particular contexts nationally, to demand tax justice, but they also to generate even confidence, because people who, human rights advocates who may not feel so comfortable talking about tax policy because so far they thought that's not really a human rights issue, by seeing the example of bodies and mechanisms, authoritative voices in the human rights enforcement machinery that are using human rights to challenge tax issues, then they begin to think, oh, no, that's something that we also can do. If they're doing it, it's legitimate for us, it's fair game for us to go into that field. So that's what we are betting on more than the standard in and of itself may be actually lifeless. But then this is where I think there is a lot of space for creativity, because the idea is not to create a one-size-fits-all approach to what human rights mean for tax policy, or for any financial policy for that matter. The idea is, once the standards are out there, there is an immense amount of different ways, an immense diversity of ways in which different activists and different communities will use those standards to promote their particular struggles. And rights are about struggle. We should not forget that at the end of the day, that's where the making of rights and the promotion of rights happens. So I think we need to unleash it and think about it in this way, that it's not a one-size-fits-all, but it's a tool to be used in a diversity of ways, with a diversity of voices, and it's okay, you know. There shouldn't be one approach only to how to use human rights to influence tax policy. Finally, I think the human rights community can play a very important role in this diversification of the debate on finance, including tax issues. It's a debate that has been dominated by very few voices. I think we have seen panel after panel how few and how much within a particular sector of the stakeholders, of the interests, are actually the ones that are involved in these discussions. No? So we need to diversify the debate, and this is not unlike what happens, what we have seen also in other fields of finance. It's usually a very small group of experts linked to the financial industry. They are lobbyists, they work there before, or they are planning to work there in the future. And these are the people who know the lingo, the jargon, and have the training to actually be able to interact effectively in those spheres. We need counterbalancing voices. We need voices coming from other sides of the social spectrum to input into that. And in that sense, human rights is only one community of the many that should be diversifying that debate, I would say, but one with a very special, contribution to make, because their counterbalancing voice is one that can actually mobilize a lot more people because of the moral appeal they can bring to bear on demands for tax justice. And also because they can be like a conduit for some of those other voices even that we would want to enter into the debate, because human rights at the end is not about just human rights, it's about the right to health, the right to food, the right to work. So all those constituencies are also constituencies that need to be involved in the debate. With that, I end. Thank you very much.